Good evening, Bahamas. On the broadcast tonight, the opposition leader shares her concerns about the Parliamentary Registration Department's ability to handle the general election. DEU officers making a large drug seizure in southwestern Providence, and teaching young minds about the game of chess. Welcome to our news, the weekend edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Knowles. Opposition leader Loretta Butler-Turner says pressing questions concerning the Parliamentary Registration Department have still not been answered. As we get closer to the general election, the Long Island MP says given the events of last week in Parliament, as well as the two most recent voting exercises in the country, she's concerned about the readiness of the department to facilitate a smooth election. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
I can tell you from the past two exercises that we've had to go on under this particular commissioner, I feel that we have had a lot of questions, and so I would be very concerned that those questions are properly addressed as we move forward into something as important as the general election.
Butler-Turner's concern resembles that of former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham, who expressed worry about the Parliamentary Registration Department's ability to handle the election results, given the chaos that occurred the night of the gender equality referendum, when the results of fewer than half of the constituencies were in by the end of the night. Hall has since gotten help in that department and said they are ready. However, Butler-Turner says there is still cause for concern.
We have had issues with the referendum and the returns with regards to those, and I'm just hoping that the Parliamentary Registration Department is fully prepared to do all the corrective measures that are needed to ensure that we have free, fair elections and that no Bahamian is disenfranchised.
Aside from that, Butler-Turner said she was also disappointed that Parliament moved ahead with debating the Boundaries Commission report, despite Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins and Montague MP Richard Lightbourne applying for judicial review in the Supreme Court. That application was rejected by Justice Ian Winder, and the pair's attorney said the MPs plan on taking it to the Court of Appeal.
I reiterate once again that both Richard Lightbourne and Dr. Andre Rollins, they demonstrated their rights to be able to take that action to court. It was rejected by Justice Winder, and their attorney says that they're going to appeal it, and so we stand with them in that.
There's also that letter from St. Anne's MP Hubert Chipman to the House Speaker accusing the government of gerrymandering and presenting a report different from the one he signed. Butler-Turner said given that serious accusation as well as the application by the other two MPs, it was disappointing to see the government move on with debate. She said it sends the wrong message.
Obviously, the government was not minded last week. I was out of town, was not minded last week to even give the courtesy of the fact that this action had been filed, and they continued with the debate and went through with it totally and passed it. So it shows me that clearly the government is prepared to do whatever it wants to do. But the opposition will also try and ensure that it upholds its rights to free and fair elections.
Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Former Deputy Prime Minister Brent Simonet says in light of the recent Boundaries report, he applauds the actions of Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins and Montague MP Richard Lightbourne. Simonet added that while the court's ruling was no surprise, cases surrounding elections are nothing new.
If public remembers the 1987, nearly, if not every, seat was contested in election court. So you go back and look at your archives. The PLP took all the FNM seats to court, and the FNM took all the PLP seats, or if not all, and we had a massive election court because there was a question of the registry there and the boundaries changes.
Simonet says he encourages Rollins and Lightbourne to continue to push the case because he believes that people are getting too relaxed in allowing the PLP to get away with things that are against the Constitution.
I think probably what's happening over time, we all sit back and maybe don't question the constitutionality of it. So from that point, I think Mr. Lightbourne and those did an excellent job by questioning now. Whether they appeal it, I hope they do, because I think we need a ruling on this, because should the Prime Minister call the election before the Court of Appeal has heard the matter, we may create a situation that an election could be questioned. And the worst thing Mr. Christie can do, not that I don't think he really cares that much, is to call an election with any shroud or veil of doubt.
From the crime beat tonight, police are on an island-wide manhunt for the suspect responsible for a shooting that's left another man dead early this morning. It's the second murder in less than 24 hours. Police say it was shortly before 3 a.m. when the victim was at home with his girlfriend in Haven subdivision off Soldier Road when the gunman entered the home demanding cash. A struggle ensued and the victim was shot. The suspect then fled on foot. However, the victim died on scene. On Saturday morning, another man was shot in the Ferguson subdivision area. According to reports, the man was sitting on a wall when he was approached by a lone gunman and fatally shot. Police investigations into both matters continue. Meanwhile, 2 foreign nationals and a female are among 4 people in custody tonight following a large drug seizure this morning. It was around 8 a.m. when Drug Enforcement Unit officers executed a search at a residence on Botswain Hill that's just off Carmichael Road. It was there where they discovered a substantial quantity of suspected marijuana.
At the premises, we met 3 males, adult males, and an adult female. 2 of the adult males are of foreign nationality. While we are early in our investigations, we are able to tell you that we were able to seize a large quantity of marijuana that was concealed on the premises here in this West End community.
While nearly 20 bags were seized from the apartment building, DEU officers along with members of the K-9 unit were also seen searching another nearby house and a trailer as well. DEU Chief Superintendent Samuel Butler says his department remains committed to ridding the country of drugs.
We will continue to be as diligent as we can to continue to fight and remove drugs and apprehend drug traffickers. We are pleased with the progress we've made so far, and we will continue to progress this investigation, and we are certain that in due order, due process, recognized, we'll have several persons before the court.
In other news tonight, Free National Movement Chairman Sidney Cawley has applauded the government for delaying debate on the Interception of Communications bill. Parliament was set to debate the controversial bill this past Wednesday, but government pulled back amid public uproar and concern surrounding people's privacy. Cawley said it was a good move on the government's part to delay it, but said legislation on the National Intelligence Agency should have been tabled instead.
I'm not surprised that they pull it back because the pushback. And while this political organization had some serious problems and issues with the timing of it, civil society and the ordinary citizen got spooked, got afraid.
The bill will allow the Commissioner of Police or a person acting on his behalf to obtain a warrant from a Supreme Court judge to intercept and examine a person's communications from telecommunications operators, internet providers, and postal services. Cawley shared the sentiments of F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, calling it nothing more than a spy bill.
If you have a spy bill with certain powers of search and probing, imagine what you can do with a spy bill when you're already reading people's communication in public.
Cawley said the government knows debate on the bill would draw unnecessary heat to an already troublesome administration just before a general election. He said if elected, an F&M government would have a close look at just what the Christie administration was seeking to do with the bill.
The new government will be looking at everything with a microscope. So if there's a bill on the shelf, and we'll look at it, and a policy decision will be made at that time.
Still to come on our news, business offerings are brought alive. We have the details when our news returns.